Good morning, students. This class we will discuss about explosive forming. Explosive forming is a type of high energy rate forming in a process which forces to produced by that explosion. Due to that explosion, the force created that particular location, then we get that record shape. Die is manufactured according to the desired shape of that product. So, what type of shape we need before we have to make that die. Forming takes place inside a water tank. So the total process during that inside that water tank sometimes is called explosion tank, where the die is placed inside that water tank. The workpiece is situated directly above the die. The workpiece is placed directly above the die, and the explosive material placed above that. Explosive material placed above that worksheet, above that worksheet. So definite quantity of explosives placed suitably in a water medium. So how much quantity of explosives need before you have to calculate. So to based on that what type of material grade, so thickness of materials, based on things you have to choose how much quantity of explosives you have to need at a stand up distance from your work. So stand up distance means how much distance that explosives is placed from that object to explosives locations. This is the stand up distance. It's called the SOD. So detonation of explosive charge, a pressure pulse is shock wave. So very high intensity is produced when we conduct the experiment. Once they initiate that explosion, have to give that impact of force on that particular environmental. So high intensity is created. Then due to that intensity shock wave, the objects produced. So based on that die cavity. When the pressure pulse impinges against that work like a plate or sheet, the metal is deformed into the die with that high velocity. So that objects produced based on that die. So before I have to measure that stand-up distance, have to choose how much explosive materials need for that particular process. Everything have to calculate and do that process. So each and every explosive forming so conducted with the support of a medium in water. So what is the role of water in the particular process? So water to act as the energy, so transfer medium, ensures uniform transmissions of energy. So to give that cushioning and smooth applications. So when you have to explode that material, explosive material, so that waves to be act on that particular body. So the time to give that cushioning and smooth application. So the explosive materials not directly to contact on that objects. So without the direct contact. So this is that role of water. Next, what are the variables in this particular process based on that energy? Type and amount of explosives. So here to given the TNT RDX diameter. So this explosive materials to choose to base on that thickness and how much explosive you have to use to based on you have to choose it. So already I said the stand-up distance between the work and the explosives. Optimum stand-up distance must be maintained. So this is that very important. So medium used to transmit generally is water is used. Then work size and work material properties. So these are the variables of the particular process. So this is that the arrangements of explosive forming or explosion forming. So once you have to start the work, before you have to remove that air. So vacuum is maintained inside that cavity, die cavity. So then only to get that required shape and size. So this is that stand-off distance. This is that work plate or sheet. This is the exposure material. So this distance is called as SOD, stand-off distance. So you have to choose that optimum stand-off distance. So sometimes it will be nearly close to the seat. It will be affect that quality. It will be go for distance. So not impact, not create that good velocity force on that particular location. So once have to the processors were finally to get that record shape as per what the shape is available in the die. Finally, we get that during that after forming. So, what type of materials to use to get that explosive forming? Both ferrous and non-ferrous metals, including steel, aluminum, magnesium, and the like. Some metal matrix composites used for this explosive formings. Metal matrix like aluminum matrix, copper, and lead matrix composites. Applications: sheet metal panels, jet engine parts, and missile nose cones. This product produced with the support of explosive form. Next, we discussed standoff method and the contact method. So these methods, how we place that explosive materials. So explosives can be placed at a fixed distance from that workpiece. After detonation, the explosive forces travel through the intervening medium. So medium is water to reach that workpiece. So already we discussed it. So that explosive material to place it some distance from that workpiece is called as a standoff method. So second one is a contact method. So this is that differ from that standoff method. Alternatively, the explosives can be placed directly on the workpiece. That here that the explosive materials directly to place on that worksheet or work plate. So upon detonation, the explosive forces hit on that workpiece directly. So to given that more impact compared to the standoff, but it will be vary depends that the thickness and what type of grade or materials you have to choose. Based on you have to select which one is good for that particular process, standoff method or contact method. Next, we discuss advantages of explosive forming. What are the advantages? Shock waves efficiently transmitted through water. Energy is transmitted effectively on that work. With the support of shock wave, we produce that required shape and die. So this is that advantages. Less noise because that process uh, done in that water medium. So less noise and less probability of damage. Large and thick parts can be easily formed. Economical when compared to that hydraulic process. Here compared to that hydraulic is a more economical. What are the limitations of explosive forming? So stand-up distance is the main factor. So you have to choose that optimum stand-up distance. Die must be larger and thicker to withstand the shocks. Of course, you have to choose that good die material. Uh, Otherwise, you have to lose that die to not get that expected shape. Not suitable for small and thin works. So final point, this is that very important. So explosives must be carefully handled according to the regulations of government. Also, when we get that approval, when you get that permissions from that government, then only have to conduct that explosive farming process. Thank you.